Rabbitohs, of course.
It is.
Last year's
Preliminary finals.
preliminary finalists. That's what it was. Think about it for a second there. Let's start with their draw. Let's start with their buys. Well, everything. You can tell when my notes fell off, can't you?
Yeah.
Anyway,
a little bit.
Mark Nichols is gone. He's gone to the Dolphins, as has Cody
He
Karima,
has.
and Jackson Paulo's ducked over to Sydney Roosters. They've picked up Terrell Kalo. I'm probably offended someone there. Josiah Karapani, Ben Lovett, and Leon Tahau.
Okay.
Barn, throw out a 17 for us. Well, similar to the Raiders, it's going to look exactly like it did last year.
Yeah,
Minus
absolutely. You got Latrell at fullback, Alex Johnson and Milne on the wings. Isaiah Tass, who is another young centre coming through that I think there will be big things for. Graham, who really stamped himself as a first grader last year and I think should improve again. Walker and Ilias in the halves. Burgess and Totola I've got starting in the front row. Cook, Arrow, Kulamatangi and Murray is one of the better back row options for the entire competition. I think Havili plays 14, gives you a little bit of option there. He was really good last year, actually, playing that role of coming off the bench. Sele, Knight, and I've got
Davey Moali or
toss-up between Saluka Fafita and Cartwright for the 17. I think Jed Cartwright, at the back end of last year, showed some really good signs, and I think that it's probably his time to be coming into a first-grade team and making a name for himself. So
The 1 to 13 is the exact same.
Yep.
I've got also Havili as the 14, perfect 14. Him and Aaron Clark, I think, are actually very similar players. I've got Knight, I've got Saluka Fafita, but I've got Moali on
Over
there
Sele.
because I think as well part of this is I think due to the rap South Sydney giving him, the hype that he's getting. He's very young, but there's all this talk about how he's already ready for first grade and he's such a talent that I think even in round one they will give him a shot off the bench, and this is where they slowly, I guess you could say, develop him into possibly the starting side where maybe by the end of the year, because Burgess for the past couple of years has been most effective coming off the bench as that impact player, I think, for South Sydney. So
I think by the end of the year, he may be taking Burgess' spot.
Possibly by the end of the year, we could see Moali
Makes sense.
and Burgess spots under the proviso that Moali sort of lives up to that expectation a bit, because I think Burgess is very effective off the bench.
He was fantastic last year, Burgess. So,
He was. Yeah.
And just quickly looking at their draw, their kick-off with the Sharks, the Panthers, the Roosters. So, hey, welcome to 2023, boys.
Hey, they'll do great ratings. So
They
They
got
will
one
do
of
their
the
rating.
toughest starts.
Then they have
of the year.
Manly and the Storm, and then Penrith again in round 8. So lucky them. They play the Roosters, the Sharks, the Panthers, the Dragons, the Tigers, Storm, Broncos, Bulldogs. Draw-wise, if they're going to be up top 4, they're going to earn it.
Absolutely, they're going to have to earn it. And I think they may just miss the 4, but they're going to be definitely inside the top 8.
Were they 5th last year or 4th last year?
they were 7th.
Oh, they did. They kind of came good real late.
They did. Trell's a big one, obviously, keeping fit for the majority of the year. They'll finish higher than what they would if they don't. They've got a very good spine and a pretty good defensive side, actually. But they did get soft in the middle at times last year, and I can see that sort of happening again this year just during the interchange rotation, because they do seem to fall away a fair bit, because I think their starting forwards are quite a bit better than their interchange forwards that they bring in, and that especially in defence, and it sort of hurts them a little bit through the middle of the field.
Billy had that real strong patch at the start of the year, and he wasn't necessarily as good at the end of the year, but he was still serviceable.
Yeah, absolutely. And Knight to me is really good ball runner, but he's defensive liability at times. You can throw Fafita in there as well. Within that, there's a little bit of depth worries as well around, like if you got blokes like Jacob Host, Cheekham, and Taff as the blokes that are just sitting outside your 17, is sort of tells me that you fall away a little bit outside of your 17, which most sides do. But
You done with Taff, are you?
There is, well, that's the thing. There is something about all of them at times in the past.
Who's their bench?
Havili.
Havili's their bench
player.
utility.
Yeah,
No, they don't have one.
yeah. There's no Ilias, no Taff, really.
Don't have one.
Yeah. Not Ilias.
It's tough. Yeah.
The other
Hawkins?
No,
No, he's
Mama
Mama's
Ellis.
Ellis. He's there. Ellis is in the
Yeah.
squad, but he's more of a hooker
Yeah.
than he is a half.
I think
so
he is an out-and-out hooker as well, which is
Yeah.
probably to his
He is, yeah,
detriment,
he
where
is, yeah.
Havili can also play
There's
in the
probably
forte.
a young kid there that nobody's ever heard of, and he may come in and set the world on fire. But Taff did that for 5 games as well, and then hasn't done a lot since. Taff has speed to burn, but I'm not sure he's not the ball player that he was made out to be when he first turned up. Doesn't really have a kicking game, so I'm not sure where he fits into the 17.
We probably do see Taff pop up again when Graham gets picked for New South Wales or in the squad or something like that. So
Yeah,
I don't think it's the last we've seen of Taff.
Yeah. They're going to rely on their back row and their wingers and Latrell to score a lot of their points. It's going to be shift, and then score in the centres or in the wing, whether it's a back rower, whether it's Campbell Graham, whether it's Latrell on the wraparound, diving over in the corners. It's been the blueprint for the last
left
3
edge,
years.
Left edge, there they go. Is it the finally the time just put Campbell Graham over there?
Mate, I said it last year. I don't know why they didn't do it last year, and I would have done it last year. But you take, obviously they love his defence on the right edge, which
He's a
and most teams do like to attack down the left edge, and he's probably their best defensive back.
He's probably the best defensive back as good a defensive back as anyone in the game.
In the game, that's right. And so, do you strengthen a weakness to weaken a strength? That's why they keep him there, because he's so good in defence on that right edge, which is the left edge of most attacking team, well, every attacking team, but most of them are better down the left edge than they are down the right. So,
so 7th last year, was that perhaps low, or is that about right?
I think it was a little bit. I expect them to improve a couple of spots this year.
Yeah,
it's weird with South Sydney because it's been the case on.
But it was Walker started so poorly last year. Like the first half of the year, he was.
I'd say he was poor for most of the year.
At least half.
It was about around 20.
It was
everyone
the first two final games.
Everyone's blaming poor Ilias, and like you got a kid in there, and you're expecting him to run the show when Walker's been so poor at the start of the year.
I said it last year. I think Ilias would be doing better if Walker wasn't there. I really think so, because you got Walker and Mitchell both taking up so much of the ball. If you had even just one of them, I think Ilias is a lot better, and Latrell's been playing great, so he's not the one you probably point the finger to, but I think it is Walker. But I personally don't think South Sydney should have re-signed Walker yet. I think you wait and see at least a little bit into the season to see how he plays, because he could play like he did last year, but you're tied to him now.
I agree with you, but I think in a competition where halves are a premium,
I don't think he's a premium half anymore. And the thing is with South Sydney that I saw, because they've re-signed these guys and they've not really made the effort to sign anyone, I think they're
still top 5 though.
They are comfortable. They are comfortable with what they've got.
They're almost the top 4 gatekeepers in a way. Canberra, the top 8 gate.
I wouldn't necessarily say that, but what I'd say,
the more I think about this, the more I've maybe got them 6th or 7th.
Well, with South, I've got them about that as well, and I think with South,
and if Latrell turns into 2009 Jared Hayne, well, they'll be third.
Well, it's just with South Sydney, they've gotten to the point where they've made the preliminary final so many times in the grand final that one year, where I think Dimitri's just sort of thought, let's just keep what we've got until it falls apart. Just do all you can to keep this side, not really add to it and take any risk, to just keep them where they are. But 1 year, eventually, because we've seen it so many times, I don't
think it'll be this year.
I'm not saying it's this year. I 100% agree. It won't be this year, but there will come a time, if they don't actually take some risks and try to change the team up a bit and just keep it the exact same, where they will eventually fall off. I don't think it'll be this year. I do have them in the bottom half of the top 8 this year, but if I had to make a prediction for the finals, I'd say they probably go deep into the finals again, because they are that type of side that
they've been there, done it.
They've been there and they've done it. As long as they make the finals, they are probably going to make a push.
And you get them on their best day, they're very hard.
And whichever top 4 team is sort of off on one day or not going into the finals in the best form, when they verse Souths are going to be the team that takes them out, because they've done it time and again.
Was it last year before they touched up Para and Nelly touched up? They should have beaten
Penrith.
Year
before.
Last year they touched up Cronulla in the second week of the finals, and I know
Cronulla
were poor.
Parramatta, and they should have beaten Penrith.
They beat Penrith the year they versed in the grand final in the first week of the finals. So
the 6-9-1 comes down to how Souths are going to go. You get Cook Walker and Latrell on a heater, good luck beating them. Like
Yeah.
the best team in the comp, probably.
Well,
gonna
and this is what we said
struggle
about.
to beat them.
We're saying Melbourne are fine because they've got their spine. You've got to say they're fine.
Oh
'cause
yeah, absolutely.
they've
I've got
got
them
a
in front
better
of
forward
Melbourne.
pack,
I've got them in front of
and
Melbourne.
they're
Yeah.
settled.
Yeah,
And to
absolutely.
your point, you're 100% right in that there's going to come a day where Damien Cook's going to lose a step of pace, and then
It was
what is
last
he offering?
year, but
he came.
We
Well,
spoke
even
about
so, we
Walker
said
as
about
well.
Walker, he
like-
wasn't good for the first. Well, he wasn't bad, but he was a step off his game
Yeah.
for 12 rounds, and he came real good.
I
But
agree because
it's closer than it is further away.
Cook-
It'll probably be next
It could
year.
be next year.
Cook's
but
one of my.
I don't think.
Yeah,
it'll be this
as
year.
I said, I'm not saying it will be like. I will 100% say it's not this year, but it just seems that the way that Demetrio and at South how they're going, and it just became apparent this year that
It might
they
not
had-
even be next year. It
they
might be the
are-
year
yeah.
after, just because Trell could probably
I-
cover a little bit for him.
I just
but-
think.
But you do. This is the year you really need something
yeah.
from Ilias. You need to see
Yeah,
a
yeah.
future here.
Absolutely.
I
You
just
need to see
yeah,
Mamazelos either off the bench or Havili if he's the answer. Havili was good last year.
I just see South Sydney in
And
in
that
a
forward
sense,
pack's getting old.
Yeah.
JR is old for
Well,
getting
Burgess
old.
as well.
Burgess is now in the twilight.
Yeah, but you got Totola, Kulamutangi, and
Murray,
Murray there,
yeah.
mate. Jesus.
And what's Murray, 23 or
Christ.
something?
Yeah,
25, 26.
Yeah, it's just I think it's now, and this is beyond 2023. It's now the time for South Sydney to start looking at the future and making some changes because based off of their business they've done for 2023, it seems like they are hell bent on let's just keep what we've got because it's worked up until now. But as I said, we know over the years when teams when they're at a certain place and they try to keep what they've got, it works for a while until it drops off. It never usually improves too much. It usually just sort of stays where it is. And
The good thing
that's
is
what
they
it seems
do
like
have
with South.
Mamazelos there, and I think it'll probably be next year for Cook, whereas Mamazelos can come in and take that position.
Start playing 45.
And then it'll probably be the year after for Walker because Walker didn't start till he was a little bit later, so he's probably got that year or two, longer than. But I think this side's going to be super competitive. They're going to be pushing for the top four. I think they may just miss. They'll leave the fourth or fifth somewhere around there. But I expect Tass. I think Tass is one of the emerging superstars in that centre position, and I think he will improve
and they
massively.
do have two genuine strike centres, which a lot of teams don't.
Yeah,
They've
yeah.
also got
Kulamutangi is an absolute beast on an edge. He's right up there. Him and Olakawatu were probably close. Oh, and you chuck Nanai in that conversation. They were three of the best back rowers in the competition last year, and I expect him to be right up there again. May even be better than what he was last year. And Totola, I think he may struggle a little bit at the start of the year, but I think by the end of the year he'll be another one of those guys that you're saying he's improved on what he put out last year.
At the back end
He
last
was
year.
fantastic, but I expect him to improve even then again. Question marks around Ilias, Saluka Fafita, and Cheekham. I don't think Cheekham probably
Doesn't get
deserves a spot in this squad, but he's there. And I've got a big watch on, I mentioned Cartwright and Jacob Host. I think they could improve out of sight given game time and a chance to have a crack in this team.
I'm going to say I am going to be bullish on Latrell because he didn't get a start last year. Missed games. I think. Take it off grain of salt because every team's training the house.
He's
down
the
and
fittest
fit
he's
and-
ever been.
Exactly
and,
right. So this, that, the other. But starting.
But he is 25.
It's now time to
It's time,
step up
peak
and win that
career.
Dally M and if he's going, we've tipped him. I think last 2 years we've been tipping him to win a
yeah.
Dally M. So it is time for him to actually do that and consistently, not have his little.
The next 3
games
years
off.
are his best
But
opportunity
he's
to be the best that he can be.
He can be.
So-
If they're going to go deep, he's a red hot chance at Dally M because he'll be the one in the spotlight and he'll be part of all the points
Absolutely.
and he'll be scoring tries and this, that, and the other. So I'm pretty bullish he's going to have a big year and it's his year. I think 5th or 6th, maybe 7th is about right.
I think as well, we sort of talk about teams and how they are sort of in the regular season compared to the finals. I don't think Souths are the strongest regular season team because sometimes they do drop games to teams they should be beating.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not tipping them top 4. I am saying probably 6th or 7th.
Yeah.
But I think once it comes finals, they will push to at least the second week.
Demetrio's a Bennett product of that. He also had them ready to go.
And there's a
The
plan.
back end
There's a
rather
long
than the
term.
front. Yeah, you're playing 27 rounds now, or whatever it is, instead of 26. So instead of trying to win those first 12 games. So
30 rounds.
Oh, 30, yeah, of course. Yeah, whatever the mouse is.
Thereabouts.
So you're now got to get from March through September rather than try. He doesn't
Yeah.
have to win the first 10 games to
Yeah,
keep
you
a job.
you can drop 3 games out of 4 at some point during
Yeah.
the year, as long as you're doing it for a reason.
Yeah.
To
Trooks do it
re-energise
every
your
year and
fucking
everyone goes, oh,
squad
a bit
and
gone
whatever.
in, and